Let's cut live to the press briefing held by PRASA this morning.
Over the last couple of days, in less than a week, we've seen two horrific accidents. The RSR has conducted preliminary investigations into the level crossing accident in Free State. And we also sent investigators to look into the accident that occurred yesterday at Geneva, at the Thalernay station. The purpose of this morning's session is for the chairperson of the RSR, Dr. Namusa Kunta, to take the media through the preliminary findings of the level crossing accident in the Free State. She will also give an update on yesterday's accident. I think you'd appreciate that because the accident occurred yesterday morning, we haven't had a lot of time to analyze the information that we gathered. But we'll answer questions as far as possible. But we are still looking into that information that we gathered and analyzing to see what went wrong. Just to introduce you to the members that we have here on the podium. We have Mr. Hadman Rivard. He is the acting executive in the office of the acting CEO. Dr. Namusa Kunta, the chairperson of the RSR board. Ms. Teko Hare, the acting CEO of the RSR, and Mr. Bongani Nkoko, the executive for technical services. My colleagues up here will answer the questions after our chairperson has taken you through the preliminary findings. Thank you. Cape Town, are you with us?
Cape Town is here, thank you.
Thank you. I'll hand you over to the chairperson now.
Do I have to stand? Thank you very much. Okay. It's okay now. All right. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Program Director, and good morning, Acting CEO and your team, the members of the media that are here present this morning. I just want to say that we felt it was really critical that we call you to come so that we can have a similar understanding that as the railway safety regulator, we are concerned with the incidents that have taken place. That is why we felt that we needed to, our voice needed to be held out there, that we are where we are with the two incidents that have taken place. First, I want to start with the incident that took place on the 4th of January, that we are concerned because one life lost is too many. And we still believe that the railway safety is the major factor, and that also that the mode of transport, the rail as a mode of transport, should be regarded as safe, and we still believe it is safer than any other land transport. For that reason, we are concerned if there is anything that threatens the life of the people, and we cannot be seen not to be doing what government has established us to do. So firstly, on the statement that we issued, we did say that we'll issue the preliminary report on the 8th of January, and that report, I think, has been issued, though it might have not reached everyone. So what has been the findings from what happened at the Free State incident? Most of the people who are here today will be aware of what happened in terms of that it was at the level crossing at Geneva, where the train struck was where oh my God, why am I getting confused? It was at the level crossing that is on the level, on the gravel road, that's the first part, which is protected by advanced warning signs and the stop signs. And also it happened when we looked at that railway crossing, we established that the railway line was equipped with whistle boards on either side of the level crossing. So when we do the investigation, we are of the view that the level of protection that was there was met the standard that is required. So there is no issue about the level of protection at that level crossing in Geneva. Therefore, that element of whether the area is protected enough, we've ruled out that the findings from the preliminary investigation have ruled out that issue of lack of protection in the area. Secondly, we have also found that the section speed in that area was 90 kilometers per hour. That's the limit on the speed. And the speed at which the train was traveling was only at 78, which is within the speed limit that is allocated in the area. And the driver of the truck was also tested negative when he was tested on alcohol. He tested negative, so that also is, because there are a number of possibilities that lead to incidents. So that he tested negative. There also no noticeable evidence of diesel spillage that was found, and acid marks that were noticed only the acid marks were noticed on the roof of the carriages, and 5 train coaches were severely bent, which is a major concern. And therefore, because of that, it has become necessary that we, as the RSR, establish a board of inquiry in order to establish the reasons for the fire. Because we will all be aware that most of the cause of the 19 lives that were lost was as a result of mainly the fire that occurred. Therefore, with the minister, we've consulted with the minister, and we are in agreement that a board of inquiry need to be established in order to assist in establishing the reasons for the fire. That's one area, and also in order to identify the root cause of the occurrences, identify the sources of fire, and to also make corrections with respect to the way forward, what could be done in order to avoid similar occurrences going forward. So basically, insofar as the accident that took place on the 4th of January, that is the main, those are the preliminary findings that we found there. The Board of Inquiry will come up with much more substantive information that will assist us to implement the corrective actions going forward. With respect to the accident that happened yesterday at the Hildenay station, on that intersection, we have established that the cause of that incident was as a result of the manual authorization that is done by the control officers. Because what happened there is that one train, which was train 4317, was authorized to enter the platform at the Hildenay station. When it immediately entered the station, it failed. And as that failure was attended to, another train was authorized to enter the station as well. Now, because the other one was already stationary there, and the other one was manually authorized to enter in there, then obviously one can see that there's human error. The second train should not have been authorized to enter at that time, whilst they were still sorting out the technical problems with the first train. So in that case, we call that human factors, or it's a human error. We are focusing, therefore, with PRASA as the operator on the reasons for the manual authorization, because everybody can see that the reason is manual authorization because the system is faulty, because the normal system is not yet working. There are problems with the signaling issues. For that reason, we have taken action. We have communicated with the operator that manual authorization should cease with immediate effect. I thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson. We will take questions now, but before we get there, I think just for the benefit of the media, my colleague, second from the right-hand side, is Mr. Sadi Kekana, and he is responsible, the executive responsible for occurrence investigation. I will now take questions from Pretoria, and I'll take 5 questions. And we'll then do a message to Cape Town, and we'll take 5 questions from Cape Town as well.
Good morning, Michael Apple from the NCA. I've done a number of interviews with people who are on the train who speak about just how overloaded it was. I see there is a couple of pages indicating a lot of figures there, but I just want to know from the RSR the impact of if the train was overloaded. Does it make a material difference in terms of the negligence factor that PROSA would be responsible for, or Shosholoza and Mail would be responsible for in this case? And the culpability factor then, does it shift at all from the train driver? What could have been avoided? Is all the paperwork, do the figures fit the paperwork? Because I've heard allegations of, for a few $100 you can get onto the train and your name is not put on the passenger manifest. Is there anything that you can speak to that your investigation has revealed related to the overloading? Thank you.
Before we answer that question, I'll just take a couple of questions, and we'll answer all the questions in one go.
Sipoma Pena for Times Live. Just 2 quick questions about the Board of Inquiry. Are you able to give us sort of a details as to when will this be established, and sort of give us step by step on how this will unfold? And also, secondly, the question is around the driver of the truck that was found on the level crossing. Were you able to ascertain from him why he ignored all the warning signs on the scene? Thank you.
Okay, you do the BOI question. How long was that?
Good day, everyone. My name is Johnny Sai. I'm with African News Agency. Just on the Board of Inquiry, and also the detail on the time, for how long will it take and where will it be held? Is it a public will also attend the media and cover the thing? And for how long will it be going to the lifespan of it? Thank you.
We have a team in place. We just need to finalize this.
Yonda Tomai from Power FM. Just for clarification, you said the second accident was because of human error. The first one, if it wasn't, was it only the truck driver, or what exactly do you think was the cause of that accident, or will that then be one of the subjects that the Board of Inquiry will look into? But just so far, was it, if it wasn't overcrowding, if there was warning signs and the driver didn't tested negative for alcohol, what seemed to have gone wrong exactly?
Do you have any?
Stop now.
I'll hand over to my colleagues who will answer your questions now.
Okay, thank you. I will take 2 of these questions, and then the rest, the acting CEO and Mr. Herman will answer some of the questions. The first question is about, the second question is about the Board of Inquiry. The Board of Inquiry will be established. I think they will start their work. They should be able to start their work within the next 2 weeks or so. And how much time they will need to complete the report, we're looking at not more than 3 months, that they should be able to conclude the report at least within the 3-month period. That's about the Board of Inquiry. In terms of the cause of the incident on the 4th of January, the reason why I was narrating the factors that we tested preliminary, just quickly on the glance, that we eliminated some of the things that could have been the cause, that could be seen at a glance, is because we failed there to find any cause. That is why then we're going on the Board of Inquiry that will then assist us in terms of establishing the cause. As we are sitting here now, we can't really say to the media what was the cause of the incident on the 4th of January, because all the if you look into the environment where it happened, there was sufficient protection in terms of the level crossing being at the gravel road. There was adequate, let me just say, adequate. The protection that was there was adequate, and the truck driver or anybody else should have seen the signs that are there. So the Board of Inquiry, we believe that will assist in this regard. And then secondly, in the other question was on the truck driver. Is it on the truck driver?
That was spoken to the truck. Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
The last question was on the truck driver, and we had not received the police statement.
Okay. Well, we have not yet received the police statement with regard to the capability in terms of the first with respect to the truck driver. That's the first part. So, but I think the acting CEO can, or Mr. Herman, you can respond to the issue of the overloading, whether overloading had any impact. I doubt it, but I will leave that to the experts.
Okay. I think. Thank you very much, Chair, and good morning to the House at large. On the issue of the overloading, I think you will see in the preliminary report that we've just issued that it is something that we need to look at to confirm whether or not the train was indeed overloaded. We have actually looked at this stage, we've actually looked at some of the documentation to try and understand what's going on. But I think what we felt was very important on our part as the RSR was to try and not create speculations about things that have not necessarily been confirmed at this stage, but we are actually going to look at it. And we also do say, I think it will follow into the next question around the BOIs, maybe to just add to what the chairperson has said. Some of the things we're going to be doing as part of the BOI, we are in the process of, we have identified a team, and we're in the process of actually making the necessary appointments just there, but we do have a team in place, and we're quite comfortable that we've got the right experts who would assist there. What we've also tried to do in that, because the major concern, while the collision itself and the derailment is an issue, but I think what is very key or a very important question or a great concern for us is the fire and what led to the fire. And what we've done as part of the BOI team, we've actually identified some OHTE specialists who would be able to assist us, and obviously will then, as they look into the accident, they may come up with other areas that need to be investigated. We're also going to be looking at issues around the line of sight, because I think and that would tell us more about what actually happened. At this stage, we've looked at the level of protection of the level crossing. It is in line with the requirements. However, we haven't spoken to the driver, so it's also because we understand that they were. He did a statement, and we've been trying to get that from the SAPS so that we understand what was his state of mind and what actually occurred, at least in his account. And once we've been able to get that, it should assist us in trying to sort of piece together the puzzle. We're also going to look at, as I said, the cause of the fire, but also the appropriateness of fire mitigation measures on board that particular train. And I think those would be key in terms of where the BOIs goes, where the BOI ends up. We, at this stage, I think maybe what we can also say on the BOI, in the event that we identify on timelines, I think once the BOI team has actually been able to look at the scope and understanding of what other things are needed, in the event that it goes over the time period that the chairperson has listed, we will certainly come back and report, just so that we keep the public informed, because I think it is an important issue, especially when you consider the nature of the death. Thank you. I think Herman will probably deal with issues around the overloading further, or?
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. On the issue of whether overloading could have contributed to this accident, it cannot be ruled out naturally. However, what we do know is that the train has struck a truck whilst this truck was traversing the level crossing. Now, knowing the railway systems and the braking, etc., we can actually rule out at this minute any speculation whether overloading could have contributed to it. But in any event, the Board of Inquiry will look at the underlying causes to this accidents, which, as I can provide you with assurance that naturally we'll look at overloading. I myself visited the site. I've also spoken to witnesses. There were allegations made of overloading, so we will not rule it out. But to be very factual regarding it, the train struck the train. Now, whether there were 10 passengers on it or whether there were 2,000 passengers on, I think we can successfully argue that overloading could not have impacted on the braking thereof. Which was the other issue? I think that deals with the issue. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
We'll now give Cape Town an opportunity to ask questions. Do we have any questions from Cape Town?
Yes, there's one.
Thank you very much. Kolega Mokobane from Business Day. Just one question. With regards to the agreement and consensus with PRASA to stop manual authorizations on the lines completely with immediate effect, just wanted to find out how practical would that be, or easy would it be for operators to comply with something like that, taking into consideration the aging of infrastructure, vandalism, vandalizing infrastructure, and of course the copper issue and it being stolen on a regular basis. Thank you very much.
That's it.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, on that one, I think what we, the issue, I think as the RSR, we're not entirely opposed to the to manual authorizations. But what we have found when we look at historical data and when we look at the causes for the various other accidents that have occurred is that you tend to find that the under abnormal conditions where manual authorization is in place, most of the accident or incidents that we've had seem to happen during those times. Now, naturally, that is a major concern for us because it highlights a number of issues, including supervision. We do know that PRASA has systemic problems around communications because of cable theft and all of that. But what we do believe as the regulator, and which is our role, is to oversee safety and to say to PRASA, you are primarily responsible for ensuring that the railways are safe, and therefore we would expect from you to manage that properly. Until you have been able to demonstrate to us that you can manage it, unfortunately, we would actually have to take action, and the Act allows us to actually take the action that we have taken, which is to prohibit manual authorization throughout the country. We are currently have inspectors on site trying to establish whether the operator is actually complying with that. But I think we thought it is a very important step for us to take in order to ensure that these things are managed. And as I said, naturally we are not opposed to manual operations. However, we do believe that a lot needs to be done to manage the risks that come with it. Thank you.
Okay, maybe if I may add on that one, I think the key question would be how many lives will need to be lost before action is taken. As I said earlier on in my opening statement, one life lost is too many. Whilst it will be, and we acknowledge and appreciate the fact that it's difficult for PRASA to cease the operation because of the impact that it will have on the passengers and the commuters, train commuters, but at the same time, we, as the regulator, we should do what you're expected to do. And if we can't implement the act that for which we are established as the regulator, then it will mean that we are failing in our duty as the regulator. We have issued the prohibitive directive and we expect PRASA to comply. Thank you.
It's Michael again from ENCA. Just a point of clarity, please. The Kroonstad Central Traffic Control System, it says in 5.6 that there was an outage at the time of the collision. So can you just confirm then that all the safety systems that were in place, the warning lights and so on, would not have been working at the time? Thank you.
If you look at the site of the collision and in the manner in which the subsequent derailment took place, most of the infrastructure, the perway, were utterly destroyed, which means the mast poles, etc. And to the extent that the catenary, the overhead electrical wire collapsed, and that's a normal reaction which will follow. But from the CDC point of view, they have noted immediately after the accident that the power has stripped and that there was a problem associated.
So it was. Apologies. So it was after the collision. There wasn't an outage that affected the signals prior to the collision.
No. I can provide you with assurances at this minute in time that the outage came directly after the accident. However, the Board of Inquiry will go into more depth, looking at all the systems prior to the accident and subsequent to the accident as well. Based on my preliminary investigation, I can, and also having interviews with some of the victims in that train that who witnessed the catenary came down after the fact.
Sipo Mabena for Times Live again. Just a quick general question. We've recently seen quite a number of serious train accidents in the recent past. Are you able to tell us how many train accidents you have recorded in the past 5 years, and how does that compare with the previous period? Also, what was the dominant cause of those accidents, and and how the regulator views this trend? Thank you.
Okay, I'll have the first shot at this, and my colleagues can add to what I'm going to say. Over the last couple of years, we actually have seen a decline in the total number of accidents, or call them occurrences, total number of operational occurrences. In the last financial year, which is 16-17, which is, I think you will find it in our state of safety, we've got about 4,000 occurrences, but there are different categories to that. And the ones that are most worrying is actually, it's mainly collisions during movement of rolling stock, where we've had about 1,006, but in the last financial year, we actually saw a decrease from the year before. And of course, in the level crossing area, and that has been actually one of our focus areas as the RSR, we have identified areas which we believe are linked, or the risks that are linked to some of these occurrences, and amongst those is actually human factors. To that extent, over the last 3 years, we've actually paid particular focus on that area, and I think we continue to call on our operators to support that, to support and prioritize that particular issue. As part of the processes that we look at when we look at the safety of an operator is to actually see how they manage human factors. And as you can see, most of these accidents, the fact that trains were allowed into a section by the same TCO, naturally tells you that it's human error. It could be human error, it could be something else, but a human being is always involved in actually executing an activity. And to that extent, we are saying that we want to ask the operators to, there is a standard that we released about 2 years ago on human factors, and we would like them to actually to continue making efforts to comply with that particular standard. Another area which is of great concern is actually people struck by trains. These are people who are struck along the rail line, not at a level crossing. And this is because of the nature of the network that we have. Our network is not protected in most areas. If you look at Gautrain, because most of it is actually protected, so you would experience fewer occurrences within that category. But specifically for the PRASA trains, we do have, it is a major concern for us because you do have settlements on both sides of the rail line and you have people crossing through. So that, for me, is actually one of the key areas that we need to be focusing on trying to actually improve the situation. But obviously, of course, even with the collisions, because they are relatively high.
Do we have any more questions? Cape Town, do we have any more questions?
Question. It doesn't look like we have any more questions. That's it. Did you want to ask a question? Okay, go for it. There is actually one. Can you use your microphone?
I'm Jenny Evans from News 24. I'm sorry, you might have answered this question already. Can you please tell us what the progress is with the City of Cape Town's application to run some of the metro rail services in the province? Thank you.
That's it.
You'll take it.
We have met with the executive of PRASA Group, and we have actually agreed to have on the 8th, the day before yesterday, in Cape Town, a joint action and inspection. It was within the prerogative of the RSR to close down the central line, and after discussions with PRASA itself closed down that central line. And the inspection which we have planned, the joint inspection...
That is PRASA's press briefing, and also railway safety regulator. They're just talking to the media more about these two accidents that happened. The first one on the 4th of January. A commission of inquiry is needed because most of the factors that could have caused the accident have been ruled out. So they will have to get an inquiry for that accident. The second accident was yesterday, Geldenhuys train accident. It happened because of a manual authorization.